Welcome, welcome. Pant fitting take 2. So we've just had some questions come in and we're just going to clear them up so that you can make sure that you can proceed. You don't want anything hanging in your head because it makes you more confused and that causes us to not move forward. So this is going to be really simple and really fun, and hopefully at the end you'll say, let's go. I had a customer come into the store and she said, you know how I keep crotch length and crotch depth separated? And she told me how, and I'm going to pass it on to you. I thought it was good. Crotch length is longer. So that means it goes from the waist. It's longer. She always remembers the crotch length is longer. The crotch depth is deep. So she remembers the crotch depth, which is up and down, is deep. So because depth is deep, it both has D's. So I'm going to pass that along. Hopefully that will help you. I asked her if I could share that, and she said, yes, tell everyone, because it really helps her keep that straight. Okay, so I had 5 different issues come in and I want to go through them all. And we're going to do that with pictures because I think it's easier to see pictures. So let's look first at this, what we call this, I hate to even label it as this, but we call it a big stomach, we call it an apron stomach. I don't know what you want to call it, but you know, all women have stomachs. I don't care what size you are. It's part of being a woman is having a stomach, and part of pant fitting is just taking out this dart, because then the fabric will go straight. It'll go straight from the waist to the thigh rather than breaking or having too much fabric or puddling. So this picture is showing you where there's extra fabric in the crotch length. The crotch length is too long in this particular case, and the fix is to do a dart. This is just so common. It's so common. It's so common. The only thing I would say to you is, it's not because you have a big stomach. It's just simply because it's pattern versus body, and it needs to be fixed. So, I mean, if it happens in every pant you make, then you put a dart in every pant you make. But once you fix it, you understand how simple it is. Don't blame it on weight. Our bodies are amazing. They're beautiful. Let's not get crazy about why it's there. Let's just simply say the body is right, the fabric and the pattern are wrong, and we're going to fix it. And we're going to fix it by simply putting in a little dart, just as that picture shows, right along the front. That's it. Okay, next we look at this next picture. You know, I pulled pictures from all over the internet because it was kind of fun, because it's interesting to think what people think is good, or, you know, anyway, we won't go there. This is when the crotch length is too short. And so you can see you get a V, and it's a pull down. And that pull down is clearly not a good thing. And so it's simply because there's not enough crotch length, and also the crotch length is not in the right place. Because very often, and you can see where I've slashed this pant, or where I'm recommending the red lines where you slash it and you add there, it dips down at the waist. You can't just add at the waist. You all know that. You've tried to just add at the waist and it hasn't worked. So you have to split the pant and you have to spread it at the hip line. And you have to pull the waist up. And that little line that I drew, that little horizontal line, or vertical line, sorry, that will give you how far it is from the waist where you want it to be, will give you an indication as to how much you need to add. You need to get the pant up. The reason I'm showing you this picture is very often, almost always, when I add at the hip line, I have to take away below. And typically the reason is because it's kind of like the neckline, the bust line, and the waistline. The pant has a waistline and a hip line and a crotch line. And if the pant and the body don't match, the extra fabric hangs down below. So often, even when you cut the pant and add in that portion at the hip line, it's possible that the hip line of the pant is way down low and you have to take away. So many, many times when I add and take a pant up to the waistline, I have to take away a dart below it also to take away that extra. Those two things go hand in hand. So listen to the fabric, listen to the drape, look at what's happening, and you can have to add a dart and you can have to take away a dart 2 or 3 inches from each other, just like you might have to do in a bust line and a waistline or a neckline. Okay, so kind of just think about that. Okay, and then also on this picture, I wanted you to see that there should be darts at the top of the inseam, both in the front and the back. That will take away all that extra fabric that's at the top of the leg. Okay, then the next picture is the same thing. It's just taken from our video. I wanted you to see this. This video's up. It's called Pant Fitting DVD. And I go through the process of how to add it, how to cut the pant, pull it up to the waist, and how to add in fabric. It's been there for a while. It's still up. And you can go and look at that. If you just search within our YouTube channel for Pant Fitting, that Pant DVD will come up. Okay? All right, so this next picture is an example of a wrong diagnosis. But the reason I'm using this is I want you to take heart, because, for instance, in this case, and this is her writing at whoever this is, I don't know who this is, but this is her writing at the bottom. She's pointing to that crotch and she's saying the front crotch depth not long enough. That is so, so wrong. It's the wrong conclusion. The crotch length is actually too long. And that's why you're getting the extra fabric. And if you just think about it, you can't have extra fabric if it's not long enough. It has to be too long if you have extra fabric. Otherwise, the fabric can puddle. And so here's the good news, is if you're doing this front like this, and you say, okay, she's saying it's not long enough. And let's just say hypothetically you went in and you added a dart. You added. It would make it really, really bad. So then you'd say, okay, I made the wrong decision. Let's go the other way. Let's make it really, really shorter. And then you would see, hey, that's the right answer. So the good news is when we do L, C, and D, there's only 3 options, and they either go up or down, in or out, long or short. So you can't be here 10 years. It will only take you a matter of time before you will solve it, even though you might make mistakes because you make the wrong diagnosis. Okay, here's another diagnosis I thought was kind of funny. So I wanted to go through. So if you look at those and see what's wrong, first off, you can see that I wrote in the crotch depth is too short because the poor girl is like being executed in half. So the whole pant needs to come down. That's added at the waist. And the reason there's a gapping at the waistline is because that's not where the waistline of the pant should even be on the body. The waistline is much lower because the crotch is so high. So it's hard to even tell it's the wrong size. It's too small. The reason I'm showing you this is that if you get a pant that looks like this, don't drape it. Start over. This is not, there's so many issues with this pant that I don't see a reason to continue on. You can get better than this. You can get closer than this, and you should be tweaking, not overhauling. I've said that many times, but if you're in the wrong size, you start overhauling, not tweaking. Okay, point to remember. This last picture I want to show you because I got a lot of questions on grain. And this is a pair of Acros pants. They're approximately $700 or close to. It's a pair of Acros Pinto. I've mentioned Acros many times. I love watching them. They do beautiful, classic, great design. And so the reason I'm showing it to you is it's the back of a model. A model is like this thick, okay? Anything she puts on her body looks amazing. But on the back of plaid pants is where we discover grain and where we discover the true identity of grain line, okay? So I have a back of pants, and I'm showing you 2 versions because sometimes you guys have critiqued me that when I draw on the pattern, you then can't see what I'm talking about. So I did the original and then I did a copy. So I left the original like it is and then I drew on the other one. And what I wanted you to see is the grain line follows the leg of the pant, and it is only from the crotch down. It's perpendicular from the crotch down. So when I go above the crotch, and you can see in this back where I go above the crotch, the grain line's not straight. There's no grain line above the crotch that's straight. It goes off at an angle because of how the pant is made. And if you look at center back, you can see that all those lines converge towards center back. So hopefully grain line, you can't mess up grain line in the top part of the pant. There is no grain line in the top. I mean, there is a grain line, but it doesn't matter. You can't mess it up. The only thing you need to worry about is from the crotch line down, perpendicular to the crotch line, which is the widest part of the crotch. Perpendicular is the grain line, and the leg needs to be on grain. That's it. The top doesn't need to be. So no worries. You know, just like I said, the best way to really know grain is to look at the back of a pair of pants, and you'll see how grain is because you can see it. You can see the lines, you can see how they converge. When we talk, last little thing, when we talk darts, we talk about internal darts and external darts. And I've talked about what darts are. And darts are converging lines, and there's only two types of lines. There's parallel lines and converging lines. Darts are converging lines. They're two lines that converge. And the advantage that darts give us is they give us control and the ability to change in one area and not in another that's very close to it. So while pants are just two pieces, there are darts that are incorporated in those pieces, which gives us the ability to take those two pieces and make them go around our tummies, around our rear ends, and still lay beautifully, because the ability we have to take those, they're called external darts because they end on an external pivot point. And when we see these darts that I'm taking all over the place, they are external darts. They end on the edge of the fabric as opposed to internal darts. Internal darts are like your waist darts. Internal darts are like your bust darts. They end internally. But when they end on an external point and they go from one edge of the tissue to the other edge of the tissue, like they do all over in pants, they're called external darts. So pants are full of external darts. You want to understand them, the front, how to fix them. Don't make it about weight. It's so not about weight. It's simply about understanding the darts and manipulating them to go around the body. And you know, I've seen skinny bitty women have to do front darts and back darts just as heavy women. So learn those corrections that I wanted to go over today. Here's to the best fitting pair of pants ever, because you know what great fitting pair of pants do? They make you look great. You don't have to be thin. They make you look great. So happy fitting from Silhouette Patterns.